Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. I've never limited myself from anything, anything. You know, I went through the phase of the Black Revolutionary and all of those things, and those things were necessary, but all at the same time, those things can make you bitter and angry all the time, especially when you're living in a country to where despite how much you protest and despite how pro-black you are, you know, there's no solutions. There's no resolve in that area. And so by it not being any resolve in that area, if there's no resolve, then there's no solutions. And if there's no solutions, there's no healing for you in that area. And this is not to say forget about the Black struggle, because that's ridiculous. Okay, because every day is the Black struggle. But this is not what this the video is about, and that's not what it's going to be turned on to. Now, if turned into, now if that disappoints y'all, delete and go to another channel. But this is about never limiting yourself. Don't limit yourself. As you know, that short clip was from the video that I made yesterday about not limiting yourself. And some people on my Facebook channel, of course, after I posted the video, they were concerned about my comments about the Black struggle and why did I make certain comments. Well, number one, because I wanted to. And that's pretty much it. You know, now I have said previously in the same video that if you are offended, delete, go somewhere else, you know. But the fact is, as I said before, I went through that phase of the Black struggle, but all at the same time, I did address the fact and the reality that our struggle out here in America, which is indeed Babylon, is on a daily basis. Now, simply because it's on a daily basis doesn't mean it doesn't imply that it is immensely on a daily basis. I mean, you can't wake up every day and give a so-called testimony of where you faced intense racism every single day, you know. And if you make a statement like that, I'm sorry, the majority of the world is going to know that you're not being true. You're not being honest, because racism exists, but it doesn't exist like that. That's not the way it exists. The whole thing is you have to be very careful what you consistently give your mind and your heart to. And what I've noticed when I was doing my study of the Black struggle, a whole lot of the mythologies that we get ourselves in, the marching and, you know, all of the methods of protesting and the speeches and everything, really didn't get us anywhere. The only thing it did was make us angry. It made us bitter. And when you're angry and bitter, your mind cannot properly perceive things on how to get yourself out of the situation. But see, once you have to understand, I'm talking too bad. You have to understand that you're living in a system that was not designed and therefore constructed and therefore established to work to your benefit. You know, it's not created to work to your benefit. Not here in America. That's one of the reasons why I said one of the best moves during the Black struggle is when Brother Malcolm went to London, England, and he spoke in the UN about everything that was going on over here in America. And he put America on the spot of being embarrassed and being hypocritical about what was going on. he went to the UN to get help, because obviously he found out that the protesting and the pleading and over here inside Babylon, um, after so long, became pointless. Because when you're living within a system and you're constantly asking for the system to give you justice, what you're basically is telling that system that your power is less, because you're asking the same system that hates you to give you something. And if this system is in a position to where they can give you justice, you look ridiculous saying Black power when you lack power, because you're asking this government to give you Black power. You know, I mean, it's like Stokely Carmichael was out there saying, we want Black power. We want Black power. And one of the reasons why our people didn't achieve Black power is because they didn't realize that they already possessed it. And the only way that you're gonna understand that you already possess power, you have to stop and think for a second and see the nonsense of trying to get your power from a government system that wasn't built to establish you power in order for you to function in it. You know, so we want Black power. Wanting something implies that you don't have it. And if a system is racist, as this Babylonian system definitely is, and if they're benefiting off of you lacking power, I just thought that it looked very intelligent. I mean, unintelligent for anyone asking a system that capitalizes off of people maintaining their position in poverty to ask them for in order to function, especially after this system saw what Black people were able to do with the Jewish community in terms of Black Wall Street. So with all of this being said, like I said, I would rather not be pulled into this, but you know, it really doesn't matter what I would rather not, you know, be pulled into, because I'm the type of man, if you ask me a question about something, even if I would rather not talk about it, I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to address your grievances, your questions, or whatever, you know, because I think it's only right. I think it's only right. And if I say something that is inaccurate, or then it's your responsibility to educate me. You supposed to educate me. I mean, if I'm wrong, I would rather you educate me than attacking me, because attacking me is not going to get you anywhere. If you're attacking me, you know, like you, a lot of people saying, well, you sell out, you a coon, all of this, you know, those type of things don't move me. You know, I'm not an emotional man, so you can call me what you want. I don't care, you know, because, you know, if you're looking to hurt my feelings, forget it, because I don't have any feelings left to hurt. And that doesn't mean that I'm a cold-hearted person or anything like that. It's just that I'm mature. You know, I'm 58. You know, I've been on this earth, you know, for, you might as well say, almost 100 years. And so I'm very much in control of this thing, you know, this thing. I'm very much in control of it. So there's nothing that you could say, like I said, or do to set me off, because I've been living in this thing for a good amount of time, and I've studied myself very closely, and every day I'm studying myself, as you should, because I found out one of the biggest mistakes that a human being can make, and I only speak from experience, is the moment you say that you know yourself, you've lost yourself. Because every day of your life is a living experience. And in spite of um, you learning things from the environment, the primary lesson will always be you and how you perceive things, how you respond to things, and how you react to things, you know. So that's pretty much it. The only thing that I would suggest is when you study Black history, um, try to accumulate the information more so intellectually than emotionally. Now, a lot of people may say, well, you know, how can we do that? I mean, I can't tell you how. I mean, you're an individual. You know, that's something that you have to deal with yourself. I wouldn't put myself in the position to give people any type of guidance on how their person should respond to anything, because I think that's dangerous. You know, I think that's left to the individual. But if our people really want to understand how to undermine the system and be able to perceive our history in a much better form than perceiving it in the effects of how it's been causing us to feel in terms of our anger and our rage and our resentment for whites and even some of our own people. When your mind is cluttered with all of that anger and all of that rage, your mind cannot properly function in order to utilize your gifted intelligence in order for you to think clearly, that we'll be able to think our way through our pains and through our suffering so that we'll find a better way to function in this society. It's just the way it is with me. And so due to the fact that I'm 58 and you know, it's like my mother was telling me when I was born, I was 11 years old. You know, so I'm a few years ahead of my time, even though I don't look my age, but I'm 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 I'm, I'm ahead of my time. And so try your hardest to instead of attacking people when you misunderstand them, I would suggest that instead of attacking them, ask them, what brought you this to this understanding? Why do you feel this way? And I will take the time, and others um, like myself will take the time and explain it to you. You know, because when some, you know, there's a lot of times when people are able to explain things to you because you're able to listen, because you allow yourself to hear them. I mean, you know, listen to them because you know, I think I'm moving too fast. I'm moving too fast. But there's a huge distinction between hearing someone and listening to someone. I mean, it's very easy to hear what someone says, but it doesn't imply that you're really listening to them. Now, that's not your fault all the time, because I have a tendency, as you know, to say certain things, and my mind wants to move forward so fast. There's a lot of times that I forget to explain certain points. And so this is why sometimes you send me these DMs on Facebook, and you ask me to explain certain things, and I don't have a problem with that, because it's really not your fault that I didn't I didn't take my time to explain things a lot more clearer, you know, because sometimes I'll be in a rush, but that's pretty much it. But see, I would offer everyone to take their time before you react. Be willing to calm yourself down and like, okay, now when I after I calm myself, then I'm going to ask the brother, what did he mean by that? Or would you mind explaining it to us? Because I'm not getting what you're saying. So I would like to understand you, you know, because if it's grieving you, if it's making you angry, I may be responsible for your 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 suffering. And so I would rather you calm yourself down, ask me, brother, I didn't like when you said this. Brother, this made me feel this certain way. Um, and I'll look into it. And if I feel as though you misunderstood me, then I'll go back and I'll watch the video, and I will see areas of where I could have explained it a little bit more clearer. And then I'm like, oh, I see what the brother or the sister's talking about. So what I'll do, I'll go back and I'll explain it, so that I can end the confusion and therefore end the suffering, because I love you that much. I that's how much I love you. I don't want to cause any suffering. But my whole thing is, don't limit yourself to certain areas of music because you're Black. This is a big world. This is a huge world. I mean, I've been overseas. I've been to a lot of places, and I've come in contact with a lot of areas of music that is beautiful, beautiful music. And I was talking to my brother last night in Texas, Josh, and we had brought up um, some information that came out years ago about Beethoven, supposed to have been a Black man, and other classical music conductors were rumored to be Black. And um, I remember those days reading those things. But what I noticed about um, some of the Black people that spoke on that, it was because of these guys being asserted as Black. That is what sparked their interest for classical music, and that's not a good thing. What should spark your interest for classical music is your entrance being sparked of classical music because of the way it makes you feel. You know, that reminded me of back in the day. Trying to be accurate. I think it was 1992. They had put up a picture. I believe it was on. Uh, I can't remember, but it was on a magazine, and it had a off picture of Teddy Pendergrass, and it had a a thorn crown on him that Jesus was supposed to have worn. And the article was titled, What If Jesus Was Black? And when I was reading the article, a Muslim friend of mine from the Nation of Islam, we were sitting up reading the article together because we had bought the same book. And so I had pointed out, and I said, Brother Wesley, there's one thing that I've noticed in this article, this particular article. It says in this article that more Black people are starting to embrace Jesus just on the perception of him being Black. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, that's a good thing. No, because you know, Jesus was supposedly had been a spiritual man. And even though in the Bible it gives a description of Jesus in the book of Revelations, of course, that he was a lot of people say that he was a Black man, but if you look at the physical description, and if you look at the area of where he was supposedly had been born, and the areas where he had did his ministry, and primarily the areas that he ventured to after his father Joseph had passed, because Jesus had um, disappeared for like 18 years. And there's some rumors that he went to India, he went over there to Pakistan. He went to a lot of areas to where he did a lot of study, meditation. He he went to these remote areas, and when you take the time and you study these different areas, um, obviously the way that he looked, he had a universal look about himself to where he could go anywhere and blend into all of these different areas of the world. And so I don't know no strictly European man that, like I say, it's about the message. It's not about how the man looked. So I don't want to get into a biblical discussion, but I wanted to address that for you. And if that doesn't uh, hit the mark for you, then just send me another DM. And if you feel that there's something that I should be educated with, don't think just because I'm 58 years old that I'm one of those people of that age level that negate any information, because I'll take information from a 12-year-old. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Educate me, because obviously if it's something that you feel I need to know, then I hope that you love me enough to take the time to educate. So, um, with that being said, I would like to go into something that me and my brother Josh touched on last night when I was at work, that is very important to us in reference to me mentioning that one of the reasons why that I kept the fact that I was a violinist from my family and friends. And me and Josh had talked about how very important it is for you to preserve what you love, because of the being inside of an environment to where you you have people in the environment that are hostile, and they create a hostile environment. Now, me personally, I was a big fan of Bruce Lee, as I said in the other video. And because I was a big fan of Bruce Lee, it pretty much saved my life, because I come up in on the south side of Chicago. Now, I didn't come up in a bad neighborhood. I came up in a in a neighborhood called Chatham Village off of 87 in Calumet, because I lived at 341 East 87th Place. And so I grew up in a relatively very good, productive neighborhood. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful neighborhood. And so we didn't really have to deal with too much over there. And then when it tried to creep in, believe me, we did what we had to do to preserve the peace. That's all I'm going to say about that. But because some people disappeared, you know. But with all of that, um, it's very important that when you grow to love something, like I grew to love Bruce Lee, and he introduced me to martial arts, and I became a phenomenal martial artist, and I am today. And because of that, I spent a lot of time practicing martial arts, and I spent a lot of time going downtown Chicago, looking at Bruce Lee movies, studying his moves, trying to duplicate his moves. I had a lot of brothers that I went to high school with. A shout out to Vince Drakes, Edward Drakes, and the Drake family, um, Tony Carradine, all of my martial arts brothers that I went to school, to high school with. I just want to shout that out to them, because I still love them brothers very much. And But it was that type of activity that kept me out of activity that could have destroyed me. And so um, my love and admiration for Bruce Lee pretty much saved my life from a whole lot of things that I had the opportunity to get into because those things were in my environment. But because of my love for Bruce Lee, martial arts, um, my life was saved. And so that's another way of, you can say, a life for a life. You know, because of his life helped save my own. And then when Star Wars came out, my mother took me to see Star Wars. And so I love Star Wars. And by Star Wars being a mixture of religion, German history, mythology, you know, all of the things that I studied from a 12-year-old, um, all the way in my from a 12-year-old up in my Aunt Ruth's attic. I came in contact with a whole lot of information, and so I educated myself early so that when I did get into high school and stuff, I had already accumulated a whole lot of information. So um, a lot of the things that they were teaching in high school, it was very easy for me to flow through those things because I already exposed myself to most of the basic fundamentals of what they were teaching in high school. Now, of course, due to the fact that I was 12, there were some things that I missed, but what I missed up in my aunt's attic, I I achieved in high school. You know, so all of the areas, you know, all of the blanks were filled in, and so through Star Wars and my love of classical music, John Williams, you know, the one who wrote the music for Star Wars. I love him as a composer and other composers like the late Jerry Goldsmith, you know, and all of those people. But the reason why I bring all of that up is because what I've noticed, um, even though those things like Bruce Lee and Star Wars were things that really kept me preoccupied because I grew to love them so much, outside of myself, I was mocked and uh, teased and put down simply because of my love for Bruce Lee and Star Wars. You know, I would make story tapes and everything, and I couldn't understand why I was being attacked simply because I was loving something that I felt was beneficial to me. And when I looked around, um, most of the people that were coming up in my neighborhood started losing as far as on the moral aspect of things. It seemed like they started to compromise a whole lot of things that the elders had taught us. And so when I became a violinist, I said to myself, well, if you know they criticizing me for um, loving Bruce Lee and Star Wars, you know, they made me feel bad, you know, for loving those things. And so what me and my brother was talking about last night, um, people will contaminate you and what you love to the degree to where you start to hate what you love, you know. And then once you realize that about um, what you love, you have to go inside. You say, okay, why is it that I feel indifferent about what I love? It's because of the environment and the people who you share that information with. And so when you become, as I did, a violinist, I felt to myself, well, you know, the violin makes me feel so free and so beautiful, and it takes me different areas of, of my being. I don't want to risk sharing with my family, my friends, or you know, people close to me, so-called close to me, that I'm a violinist because I felt that I put myself at risk of getting what I love again contaminated. And so I kept that all to myself. So with all of this being said, my advice, if you be kind to hear me out. My advice is once you come in contact with something that you love very much, that you're very passionate about, that you love very much, if there's no greater feeling inside than to love what you're doing. And there's no greater feeling, you know. And because when I was playing for Eli um, a few days ago, man, it really, I hadn't played the violin in 47 years. And it brought back such a beautiful feeling. And I'm like, oh my God. Now people may say, well, why are you telling people about it now? Well, um, it's pretty much because I've learned my lesson. And, I'm definitely, I've made up my mind that I'm just gonna keep it to myself. I'm just gonna go about Charleston and pray for, I'll play for the Creator and myself. But primarily, I'm sharing this because I want people to understand how very important it is that once you find something that you really love, passionate, I mean, really passionate, be very careful and be very attentive of your environment. And I don't care who it is. It could be anyone. It could be your mother. It could be, I'm not going to go down this. I'm just going to it could be anyone. Be very careful who you love what you're doing around, because if you know that certain people hold characteristics that's going to criticize you and mock what you love to do. And if you don't want what you love to do, it is a choice. If you don't want what you love to do to be contaminated with mockery and put downs and condemnation and all of that stuff, then, 10 times out of 10, in order to protect yourself and to preserve the love that you have for what you're doing, it is best that you keep that sacred to yourself. Just keep it sacred and just keep moving forward with it. And if the Creator and the universe work in harmony at some point in time to open up doors for you to safely express it to the world, then by that time, I'm pretty certain that you'll be ready to express it to the world. I mean, the same as myself, because right now I'm saying that I would rather keep it to myself, but you just never know. You never know what's going to happen in the future, you know. So, as I said before, as far as the Black struggle thing, I hope I answered that objectively. And if I didn't, just send me some more DMs, But just know that allowing yourself to get upset, to call people coons and all that, that's not going to get you nowhere. Damn near, it's damn sure not going to. It's not going to affect me. I mean, that's you walking around with all of that, you know, built up inside of you about attacking a stranger. Just because you're on my friendship list, I don't know you, and you're just a Facebook friend. You can easily delete and just go on with your just go on with your life. It's not going to affect me one way or the other. Because like I say, I've been on this planet close to 100 years. I have two beautiful sons. And so I'm barely concerned about how they feel about it. Because you have to rise above even those common concerns. Because when it all boils down to it, the only person's peace of mind is relevant is really y'all. Now that doesn't imply to be cold towards the rest of the world in order to maintain your peace of mind, but maintaining your peace of mind is rooted in love, because there's a lot of people on the earth that feels as though you owe them a reaction, but you're never going to get a reaction out of it. You're going to get a response, but you're never going to get a reaction out of it. And so, as I say in all my videos, with all of that being said, I hope I answered your questions objectively. And with all of that, stay human, stay human. Peace. Y'all have a good night.